Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time we'll continue our look at the cars of the Project A-Spec mod with the 1970 Alpine A110 1600S. This is, of course, Alpine's most iconic car, the car that really put them into the spotlight, a rally legend, a car that competed in some sort of small level sports car racing, I think, as well. A very cool car, very good looking vehicle, and of course the car that Alpine would use to go towards their rebrand, where they did the A110 and then did nothing with it for 8 years and now we're just releasing EV slop. I'm a fan of the A110. Fun fact, the car that was rebadged as a Willys in South America for reasons of some. Yeah, Alpine, very cool, good looking model, this one as well. In terms of statistics, it does scare me slightly. There's not many rear-engined rear-wheel drive cars in the base game. It's pretty much the roofs and the Subaru 360 and Fiat 500, and I think that's it. So that's two vastly different scales. The roofs, of course, were very quick around this track because they had mad power and could get that power down very well. The 500 and the 360 were slow because they're slow. So this one's going to have to bridge a weird sort of middle ground. I guess we should be targeting stuff like the Lotus Elises with this in terms of sort of power. It's fairly similar. The weight figure behind this one really scares me. It weighs under 600 kilos, which is not a lot. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to drive. I suspect it's going to be pretty scary, but we'll find out. Rear engine, rear wheel drive, 273 horsepower, 584 kilograms. Let's go ahead and get this car on for 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track, where it'll have those to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak version. That car set a time of a 25.696. This won't be beating that. In terms of our quickest Project A-Spec vehicle, that was the BAR01. That set a time of a 26.270. So obviously not going to beat that either. I think Elise's quickest Elise was the Motorsport Elise. That was a 31.2. The quickest sort of normal road-going Elise, if you will, the Sport 190, that set a time of 31.463. So I'm sort of thinking that's roughly where this should be going. In terms of the way it drives, straight away, it's definitely better than a Lotus Elise, I can tell you that for free. It definitely feels light. It sort of drives as you would expect it to. In that regard, 31.078 on its first flyer. That is exceptionally good and blows the Lotus Elises out of the water. Yeah, it drives sort of as you'd expect it to. It gets turned in fairly well, and then you just sort of lose all turning grip because the front end can't get the weight down over it. There's no weight over the front end, and so as a result, it just sort of understeers off. On top of that, the rear end doesn't really feel all that settled because, again, it only weighs like 600 kilos, so and the engine in this will be tiny. So yeah, it is interesting to say the least. Quite a bit of fun. I can imagine this car around like an autumn ring or something would be hilarious fun. Also for a rally car, because again that's sort of what the A110's claim to fame was, not so good over the grass. It is a little bit flimsy over the grass, so definitely something to bear in mind, although I don't think you'd ever take this thing rally racing in the base game, of course, but if you're going to go for some cheeky corner cuts, then yeah, interesting. I think that first lap we got pretty in sync with the car. I'm not happy about that line through that corner there. I think you could probably do a little bit better. The brakes on this are excellent, as you may expect from it being so light. Sometimes that's not the case. You get cars like the Venturi Atlantique, which had really bad brakes, despite being a pretty light car. This one, really good brakes, so gets stopped very well. Front end does, of course, pull a little bit, but what do you expect? It's a very tiny, small sports car. Yeah, not a bad car overall, it does have to be said. I quite like it. Again, I think that would be really fun around like an autumn ring or something like that. But the first lap, as it sometimes does turn out to be, was the quickest. I suppose it's a car that when you try and push it, it doesn't really go all that well. But I think there is a little bit of time in that. We'll see from the splits, but I think there's potentially... Yeah, it's sort of as I suspected, that Sector 2. There's definitely some time to be saved through there. But my Sector 1 was apparently phenomenal in that second lap, so... yeah, I think if you went round and round, I don't know if this would ever get under 31 seconds. I think it is sort of right where it should be. Perhaps even a little bit quicker than one would expect, but yeah, overall, a pretty good car, pretty good time. A 31.078 will place this into 448th place, goes in between the Fiat Barchetta and the Jaguar XK8 Coupe. It is quicker than an RX-7 cab, 300ZX NA, a Primera GT. It's quicker than the Mazda Roadster 1.8 VS, Corolla 11 GT Apex, which I believe that one was the turbocharged one. So right around the same sort of amount of power as this. Quicker than an Acura NSX, quicker than the Lotus Motorsport, at least by quite a significant margin, actually, by about 0.2 of a second. Slightly slower than Nissan Saletti 180SX, the 1990 Honda NSX, which admittedly that does have a full speed auto. Yeah, pretty good car, pretty good time. Again, it's a little bit of a no man's land car. In case you're curious, it is about 0.3 quicker than the Toyota 2000 GT, but it is about 0.7 off from what the 240Z did, because that car was really, really quick. So, and it's slower than the Cobra as well. So, sort of cars of this vintage, it's fairly average for, but you know, those cars of its vintage have a lot more power than this and were more controllable because they were sort of more conventional to drive than this. So, I guess to be expected. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.